Welcome to the Pitcher Podcast, where the conversation is free flow, everything is on the house, and all we ask for in return is for you not to give us 1-star reviews. I'm Cody.
And I'm Ian.
And today, what are we going to be doing?
We're going to be talking about murder mysteries.
Very good. Spicy edition.
I'm going to put some slightly creepy, ominous music in the background.
Okay, sounds good.
We should do that for the entire segment of murder mysteries. Have slight eerie Scooby-Doo.
I mean, you're going to be the one who has to do it anyways.
Yeah, maybe not then.
Seems like a lot of work, actually.
So, diving straight into our culture corner, this week we're going to be talking about movies. So... that sounded so bad. I was trying to be enthusiastic, but it was so dead in my movies. But yeah, Cody, start us off.
Okay, mine I literally just watched 12 hours ago, but I had to recommend it because I thought it was so good. But it's I Care a Lot, and it just got released a few days ago on Netflix. It's already number 4.
It's a Netflix movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, it just got released 3 days ago, and it's already number 4 in Hong Kong last night or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of the best movies I've seen in the last half year. It was really, really good.
Really?
Yeah, it's good. I don't want, there's a lot of crazy twists in it, and so I don't want to spoil too much, but essentially it's about the elderly care home industry in the US, and how, if you've heard of guardianship, old people, when they can stop caring for themselves properly, or keep forgetting so many things, and the kids can't always take the burden of having them move in with them and caring for them full time, will sometimes surrender them to be having different guardians, they're back to kind of being children, so people can make choices for them and move them to homes and stuff. And so it's about kind of that whole industry, and then let's just say there's some crazy twists that happen in it, but it's really, really good. I would highly recommend it.
Once you started talking about the trailers, about it instantly reminded me, because I remember watching the trailer, and the main actress in the movie is Rosamund Pike. Big fan of her. She's a great actor. It instantly reminded me of Gone Girl, in terms of how she acted and her character itself. Looking forward to giving that a little watch.
She's such a good actress. I found myself hating every part of her in the movie. I wanted something so bad to happen to her because of
hated or liked. You will find out when you watched it.
No, mostly hated.
Oh, damn it.
But some people might like her in it. But at least I found myself wanting something bad to happen to her, and being physically happy when something did or didn't
when she
happen
slips
to her.
on a banana or something.
Kind of, yeah. Something comical like that. Yeah, very it's like Mario Kart or something. But it was very, very good. I would recommend.
Nice.
So yeah. What I was gonna say is my dad. It's always such a struggle to watch movies with my family because my dad can go either way, but I hate sad or intense or just melodramatic movies, and that's what my mom loves and stuff. And so we can never compromise, or I always have to compromise pretty much, but it's never
wow.
It's never anything that all of us are super liking. So I thought it was just gonna be about old people or something, or but it got so good, and I was the movie's biggest fan by the end of the night. So anyways,
fine, I'll watch this movie about old people, guys.
Pretty much, that's what I went into it with.
But yeah, I'll definitely give that a watch. So my movie is Soul. So essentially, a lot of things started opening up recently, in light of COVID getting a bit better in Hong Kong. So cinemas was a big thing that opened up as well. So it's been months upon months since I've actually been in a cinema, because even before it was closed, I was still very hesitant about going to the cinemas. But finally went. There was a select amount of movies. There was Wonder Woman. There was Soul, and Soul was actually this movie that I've seen the trailer for really early in 2020, and I was super intrigued because the movie kind of surrounds a jazz musician, so there's a lot of jazz influence in the movie. And that obviously tickles my fancy. So I decided to, wait for it. I was I hope I can finally see this movie. And I remember watching the trailer again. It said out June 2020. Yeah. And now, for people who don't know, it's February 2021. Yeah. So it was a long time coming. Finally was able to watch it, and it was absolutely phenomenal.
It was good.
I guess the premise of the movie is a jazz musician ends up dying, and then there's like it's talking about his soul essentially. So it's in every way. It's like literally what the movie title is.
It's a Pixar one, right?
Yeah, it's a Pixar. Oh yeah, I forgot to say it's a Pixar animated film. I haven't actually seen Coco, but I feel like it has Coco vibes. It's funny watching these kind of movies as like someone who's like more grown up, because you're able to pick up on like the adult nuances of like the jokes that they make. Yeah, and I'm like laughing, but I realize like kids don't know what the hell is going on when they're saying things like this. Yeah, but it's nice. It tailors it for, I think, both adults, but just all age ranges, and it's overall just a really good movie. It's not even just about jazz, so definitely check that shit out.
Yeah. I found myself, I watched Coco last Christmas, so Christmas of like 2019 again, so that was like the second time I'd seen it, but I found myself on the note of like being more adulty watching these things and like empathizing with like the parents in the situation, or like the adults. Like in Coco, there's this one scene where this kid just like runs away from his family because they don't let him do something. They don't let him practice music because his grandmother doesn't really like music because her husband left her, who is a musician, and all this stuff. And then he like gets mad and then like runs away and stuff. And like I would be furious if I was he runs to a graveyard too. And so anyways, it's just like funny.
Did you bawl your eyes out? I've heard like everyone watching Coco, everyone was pouring tears
in the last part. Yeah. I didn't, but I could see why people did. It was really good.
When he was shorting really Garibaldi Force.
You need to explain all this stuff if you bring it up.
No, that's fine. We're not going to explain that. Okay. Essentially, one of our favorite movies of all time is, I mean, personally, I don't know if Cody puts it on the same pedestal, but The Big Short, this movie about the 2008 financial crisis, super funny. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but
it is. It's Steve Carell.
We take a lot. Oh my god! But Steve Carell's such a good actor.
He is in what, Foxcatcher or whatever.
Like when he's serious, he's able to pull off like serious so well, which is a testament to his acting abilities. Definitely. But definitely check that one out. On the whole topic of movies, are you a big go into the cinema kind of guy, or you're like I'm fine with just watching it at home or waiting for it to stream it at home?
No, I really like going to cinemas. I like the whole ritual of it. We were talking while we were camping about this, but like I would always go to this cinema near our house with like my dad, and it was always like the Marvel movies or just anything that came out, but generally it was like Marvel because they were coming out with something every like 5 months or something. So I just love the ritual of like going there and like having other people live react with you to something happening, or like the sound system, how you can like feel things happening. And so what about you?
I feel like, as it should be, it feels like an event. Like you're going out of your way to do something, and you kind of like start to appreciate the movie more because you're actually sacrificing more in terms of your time, going to somewhere, like paying for the whole experience. And one thing I personally like always have to do is get popcorn, but obviously in light of everything, popcorn is not very feasible. But that's what I thought until they started selling popcorn recently. When I was in theaters, they would put popcorn, like, you know how popcorn comes in a box? Yeah. They would put that in a plastic bag. And then I don't know if people are not allowed. I think they're allowed to. But they're allowed to eat within the theaters. But then once you're not eating, you have to, like, mask back on. Right. There's a guy, there's like a maitre d' watching over everyone in, like, the cinema. And then a girl slightly had her mask, like, not slightly, it was like almost off. And then he would walk down and be like, "Excuse me, man, if you don't put your mask on, you gotta go." Right. And I was like, you know what? I feel somewhat safe, like in this environment now that that like physical enforcement is there, is present. But I do really miss the whole idea of having like popcorn and just like watching a movie. And I'm a bit old school in that way, so I definitely want to keep that tradition alive. So guys, for sure. Keep buying AMC stocks. Very, very good. We're going to do a whole podcast on Wall Street bets.
Yeah. I'm definitely glad that, like, there is streaming, because certain movies I need to, like, pause and replay if I, like, miss something. Yeah. But there is something nice about, like, every now and then going to a cinema. I don't think I would go, like, every week, or, like, as often as I watch movies at home, but it is fun for, like, a
a
for
blockbuster, like a big movie.
Yeah, definitely.
So this episode's not about movies, guys. So let's quickly do a weekly catch up, Cody.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about this week, but just sorting things out with moving to the US, and like it's one of those like growing into adult things and like dealing with like leases and like rental agreements and everything. And so essentially,
because Cody's leaving us forever
for a few years.
Do you know how long a few years is? Like 3 years. We're putting 3 years into context of my life. That's like 1/7 of my life. You're leaving for 1/7 of my life.
We're all gone for university, though. It's just like another one of those. But anyways, I'm going to be going with my girlfriend to Savannah, Georgia for 10 weeks. Long story there. But essentially, it's tough because you need to find like a 10-week short-term rental. And most places have a minimum of like 5 to 6 months for lease. And so essentially I was corresponding with this one place and they were super helpful, and then I signed the rental agreement, paid for the background check and everything, and then he emails and he's like, 2 minutes before you submitted the background check, someone else just booked it for like half of that time. So like, I'm so sorry. And I like couldn't sleep that night.
How did they book it? Don't you essentially already
no, because I did the background check and corresponded, but I didn't sign the thing yet. And so it's whoever signs it first.
Oh, so the guy just quickly signed that shit.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so anyways, it was just like a stressful day, but we found an Airbnb that we're going to rent for like 2.5 weeks and then go into this apartment that was one of the original plans. And so anyways, and then after that we're going to be going to LA to spend time with my family friends who have a lot of space there.
What's that called? So if you're going to stay in the Airbnb for 2.5 weeks or whatever, and then you're going to rent an apartment for like 7 weeks, and they allow for an even shorter tenancy?
Yeah. Because they're like it's like a short-term rental company, and so their thing is like extended vacations or something if someone wants to summer in Savannah for like 5 weeks or something. So.
I was thinking if renting was a problem, you could always stay 2 or 3 more weeks, and then they'll probably ease up on your tenancy.
Yeah.
Because that's 3 months.
Yeah.
You're just barely 3 months, but you're still like almost there.
Yeah, I'm not keen to spend much more time in Savannah than I like have to.
Shout out to people who live in Savannah.
It does seem really cool, but 10 weeks is like a fine amount of time to be there. So anyways, that was
especially
just
since you didn't expect to be there in the first place.
Yeah, definitely.
So in LA, how are you gonna get around places if you're not gonna drive?
I'm not really gonna go around places much. We're just gonna go to the airport, like Uber to our friend's house, and then probably stay there until like it gets better. They have a ton of space, and so we can still like run and ride bikes and things, but
so it's not like in LA, it's not like in a city, is it?
Oh no. LA is so spread out even.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like
that'll be impossible to get around everywhere without.
No, we're like an hour and a half outside of Los Angeles, like city proper. So yeah, like super
it's more
suburban.
rural.
Yeah. Super suburban. So,
Nice. No 7-Elevens there.
Well, we could like bike
garlic
on or something.
noodles.
Definitely no garlic noodles. That's probably a good thing though, because I would just binge on them.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
It's never a good thing.
What about you?
So this week was a 4-day work week as well, because back like last weekend. Wait, was it a 4-day work week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we had Monday off.
Because we had Monday off because it was still part of Chinese New Year. And it's so weird because every time I have 4-day work weeks, I work really hard, but it feels longer than a normal week in a sense that like everything is so packed in 4 days as opposed to more spread out in 5 that feels like each day was like a day and a half or 2 days packed into one. So felt like a super long week, but it was so nice. Like on Tuesday, I think, yeah. I was like, because I normally would go to Juliet's, my girlfriend's place, on Wednesday for like dinner. We would cook something or something, or we'll cook something or order something. And my sister was like, "Aren't you going to Juliet's tomorrow?" I'm like, "Come on, tomorrow's Tuesday. Don't be silly. Why would I go on a Tuesday?" And then she's like, "No, it's actually Wednesday tomorrow." And I was like dumbfounded, but kind of excited. I was like, "Come on. I would know what day it is."
Yeah.
But then finally realizing it was like a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't speak. Was really delightful. I do really enjoy it. And I mean, we've talked about this plenty of times about the whole idea of being more productive in a 4-day work week. And time again, I do feel like I am. So I think it's a testament to how we operate nowadays in the 21st century. But additionally, with everything, everything opened up Thursday, and it was the weirdest sensation.
Like COVID restrictions.
Yeah. So originally, no dining after 6 p.m. Everything that is social is basically closed. So, like all sports fields, all basketball courts, parks were kind of open.
Yeah.
Beaches were closed though. Just a lot of things were closed to the extent where like once it hits 6 p.m., the whole city's dead. And I've been used to that since like November or like December, and it's somewhat become like the sort of norm for me. I don't expect there to be a lot of noise. I don't expect there to be a lot of people. Traffic's all-time low. Not that it's a good thing, but having experienced everyone just because everyone's waiting for Thursday, and then once Thursday hit, everyone started going everywhere.
Yeah.
Kind of dangerous, to be honest, because there's zero phasing out of anything. But it's just such an overwhelming feeling, like seeing people out eating, people drinking, playing basketball in the mornings.
Yeah.
And then I look at it and I'm like a little snitch inside. I'm like, oh, they're doing something illegal.
Yeah.
But then I realize, oh wait, no, it's being alleviated. It's the norm now. And I feel like COVID has made me ever so slightly antisocial. I'm like, oh, people, there's just so many people around. Like I don't feel the sort of like bustle or like the desire to be in that crowd. I'm like, ooh, I probably want to stay away. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, it's just funny because like the fourth wave of Hong Kong has been so long. It's been like 3 months, which doesn't seem that long just saying it, but that's like a quarter of the year, right? So it's become like our new normal. So now we're like those people like walking out of like the house after spending a year in it, and just like
oh my god, what's that? Like the Wolf Boys or something? Like there was a bunch of boys who were brought up in a house and they weren't like allowed out.
Oh, yeah. There's been a few of them. Yeah.
And then essentially all they had was like old movies, and they are just these like immense film fanatics and came out wanting to be like directors and stuff like that.
I actually don't know that one.
I might be making it up. But if it's true, pretty cool. Yeah. Is it cool? Not really.
Not cool.
It's quite messed up. But additionally, one last thing I wrote on my weekly catch up was I didn't realize how little I saw people during the week until I realized, like, I don't know why it took me to see people out at night to be realizing that I haven't seen a lot of people that I normally would because of the limitations of after work stuff.
Yeah.
Like lunch times is kind of hard, especially if people are working far away, but it's always like night times where people are willing to, travel a bit farther just to meet up, and that's been taken away for so long. So time to, rekindle some relationships and see more people.
Yeah. I think we're doing something this next week.
Yeah.
On like a night.
Cody and I are going hard.
We're hitting the town, going to all the clubs.
Every single
club,
no mask at all. Only alcohol is being consumed. Not even like drinking alcohol. We're drinking rubbing alcohol.
I don't know if we have time to talk about. I'll just talk about it. But did you see that video of Lavage a few weeks ago?
Oh no, this is like quite a while.
It was like a month ago.
Okay, essentially, Lavage is this like Parisian steakhouse we have in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then someone we know has been raving about it because they essentially do brunches, and it's a bit of an underground restaurant. Not like underground in the sense that it's hush hush or like no one knows about it. Yeah. But it's literally underground, so there's no windows, there's no everything.
Yeah.
And because of that, they can get away with certain things. Because normally police would go into restaurants and check out, or they can even like peek through like a shop window to check out like if they're following COVID restrictions, if they're limiting the amount of like the capacity of people there, and they're just being responsible. And Cody, please explain what this video was.
So essentially, one of these.
It's confirmed that it was lavash, right?
I'm 100% sure it was
100%.
lavash. But anyways, which is totally true. All you have to do is close your front entrance, and then it looks like it's completely shuttered, right? Yeah. So they have this thing that's been going on for a few years called disco brunch, and so it's like all you can eat steak and like disco
it's
like
not
oven
new.
music. No, it's been going on since like 2018 or whenever. But they essentially restarted it. And they're saying that it's just held to like 2 people, like completely like with all the restrictions. But then there's this Hong Kong like more like liberal news outlet that posted a video that got leaked of someone's Instagram story, and it's mayhem in there. It's like dance music.
Like a club.
It's like everyone is just maskless, singing with each other, drinks in their hands, and then you pan to the bar, and this is how I could tell it was lavash because it's exactly that bar that we walked by, and like the specific lights and everything too. And then there's a waiter who has his mask pulled down, standing on the bar with like a vodka bottle, pouring drinks into customers' mouths and stuff, and it's just insane. But anyway,
and we still ask ourselves why there are like untraceable COVID cases.
Yeah.
Because people would go to these things and not do COVID tests before or after. Yeah. So even if they had it, like no one knows.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, like. The government has like completely locked down all these poorer areas too, but at this like expensive white steakhouse, like all of these people can get away with it. It's just very frustrating.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
It's wild to think that someone be raving about this brunch.
Let's not get into that. Right now.
What? Well, I'm not getting. I'm just saying. Why would you be raving about something so illegal?
Yeah. I don't know if our friend. She did go to...
Wait, what? I'm not saying anyone said that.
You said earlier. You said we had a friend that's raving about these things.
A friend's friend who's a friend of a friend.
A friend of a friend.
Of a friend. The mutual friend of mutual friends.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways. Naughty. But I don't think the restaurant... I was looking on their Instagram and everything. They didn't post anything about it.
Obviously, they shouldn't.
But it got leaked, right? Like,
yeah. No, it's because, okay... I don't understand the sheer stupidity of people who do this. Fair enough that you're doing something entirely illegal and irresponsible, but to go forward and post about it on your Instagram, I'm like, Jesus Christ, how ignorant must you be?
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many people post like these large private gatherings, and I'm like, bro, if you're gonna do it, just don't be so vocal about it. You're like flaunting the fact that you're doing something illegal.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is your mindset?
That's bad. Anyway, should we jump into our topic right now?
That's my little rant about people in COVID. But, yeah, let's get to our topic. Cody, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so we talked about, what is this? It would have been 2 episodes ago now. But actually, it was just last week because of how we schedule and release them. But we talked about possibly doing, like, a little mini series on murder mysteries. I think it would be fun if we did like more than one episode, like episode 33 part 1 or whatever.
I think it would be fun if we had one in mind. We need to be able to like choose something, like either it's a TV show or a movie, or a murder mystery, an article or a topic. We should choose beforehand and then like read up on it and then quiz each other or debate. Debate.
Yeah. What if we could do that next week? Yeah. Then the week after.
Get Michael as our adjudicator.
No.
POI accepted.
But anyways, so I picked one that I was researching a bit this morning, and then Ian has one that he knows a bit about, and then we might talk about one more if we have time.
That we both kind of know about.
We talked about it last episode, too, or 2 episodes ago. But anyways, I was searching on like the top 10 unsolved murder mysteries or whatever, and this one is essentially called Black Dahlia.
Sounds eerie already, like just the name itself.
Yeah.
It's a spider, right? A Black Dahlia.
I don't know what a Black Dahlia is. Let's see.
I think it's a spider, right?
Oh, it's a flower.
Oh, okay. I was so wrong. I was entirely wrong. I'm so stupid.
I was so
this podcast is only gonna be done by Cody from now on because I'm so ashamed of myself.
Anyways, okay, but it's called Black Dahlia essentially because it was like in the 40s in the U.S. Also in L.A. But essentially this woman and her daughter were on a walk. and they found in like this empty lot, just in the bushes, like a severed body completely cut into, like clean in half, and there was no blood.
Both of them?
No, of like one body. It was a woman and her daughter who found it. They were just walking.
Oh, they found it.
Yeah. It was a body of like a 22-year-old woman, completely cut in half, and it was like pale white, like it was like drained. There was no blood anywhere. So essentially, you get reading a bit more, and the body has been cleanly cut into and then drained before too. So it's like completely bled out, like 10 hours
So it was
ago.
already bled out, and then they just put it there.
Yeah, they put it there.
As like a display of their feat of
Pretty much,
whatever.
yeah. And they arranged the body so it's like the woman's body has like her hands up like on her head and stuff, like looking like shocked or something like that.
Oh my god.
But essentially, that's like what the premise of it is, and it was this 22-year-old young like hopeful actress who moved to LA for like the Shining Lights and everything, and was trying to get jobs, and that's pretty much all there is. But they were never able to find this person. Obviously it's unsolved, right? And it was like 70 or 80 years ago, so they're like not going to find anyone like responsible for it now. But the crazy thing is that like over the course of the last like few years, like decades or whatever, like 150 people have confessed to it. Like people are just confessing like left and right, and
what?
Some of them are born after the death date too, so it's like obviously like
who
fake,
wants this
right?
clout?
But,
like, yo, I did it.
Yeah. And so it's just crazy. It's just super crazy. But that's kind of mine.
That is super weird, dude.
Yeah,
Because I mean, if someone's able to cut someone in half cleanly and drain the blood out of their body, they've clearly done something like this before.
Yeah. Which means they probably have like medical expertise, or they're just a crazy person who's done this to a lot of human bodies or anything. So anyways, the top suspicious person was like a vet, essentially, which would make sense because they have like a lot of experience with bodies and like the tools and everything.
But this is a lone case. There wasn't anything else.
Well, they don't know. Like there's been a lot of grisly murders in like 1940s noir, like LA and stuff. But there was also
there's a dead body, you see.
There's a dead body, you see.
It's cut in half, you see.
But essentially, there were in Cleveland around a similar time. There were what's called like the Cleveland torso murders, which was like people cut in half also, in like very like dingy areas in Cleveland, all like unnamed people. So they're all like John.
What year was this again?
The Cleveland torso ones, or this one? 1947.
1947.
Yeah,
so it's way back.
Yeah. Like even if you were born then, like you'd be like really, really old now, right? So like whoever, if they were like 30 when this happened, like they would definitely be dead. But
the fact that he's probably, or he or she was probably like alive through it all, never got caught.
Yeah.
Which makes me think like this cannot be a lone case.
Yeah.
Like, no one just goes. Okay, I'm speaking out of my ass, but no one just goes out, does this once, and like that does not. I doubt that satiates their hunger to do whatever they need to do. Like it's so messed up to the point where there's no way this is a one-time thing.
Yeah, definitely. So they had like theorized if it was linked to these Cleveland torso murders. I think that's just like speculation and stuff. And then they linked it to a few. There's like the lipstick murder or something, which is pretty grim too. But also
what was
LA.
that? That sounded so familiar.
It's just like a dead body of a girl who had like lipstick written on her stomach, and it was all very bad stuff. But anyways, and they called her the Black Dahlia. I just read because there's this popular movie of the time called The Blue Dahlia, and then she has black hair essentially, and so she also really liked dahlias, like the flowers and things. And was wanting to be like an aspiring actress and things too.
Okay,
right?
you know what? No offense to this, but I feel like that's kind of a lame name. Like I thought they had like the guy would leave a black dahlia on her body or whatever.
No.
Which, come on, man. It's like the Zodiac killer is called the Zodiac killer because he's really into zodiacs.
Right.
I'm like, no, it's because there's some connotations behind his killings and like decoding his messages with the Zodiac. But like,
But yeah, it's grim.
The lipstick killer was because he liked lipstick. Milkshake murderer is because she likes milkshakes. Nothing to do with the killing. But yeah, that is wild. I mean, yet again, talking out my ass, I'm not an expert in any of this, but realizing after watching Mindhunter, the fact that serial killers were a thing that was classified only like in the 80s or the 70s or whatever time period Mindhunter was. By the way, Mindhunter, go check it out. It's a super cool series on Netflix, essentially about let me just quickly take a look. But it's essentially what year?
I'm gonna guess that it was in the 70s.
Yeah.
Could have been closer to the 80s though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No.
It's technically,
it's like us
wait,
saying
tell the date. We didn't see.
We're 90s babies.
Right.
We're 98, but we're 90 babies. But it was in 1977 when this happened. 1977 onwards. It was based on true figures within the FBI who were essentially trying to like solve the whole idea of serial killers, because that wasn't a thing beforehand. They've never been able to link different killings to like, I don't know, psychology and criminal psychology and stuff like that. That was not a great explanation of the series itself, but yeah, definitely go check it out. But essentially, yeah, it makes sense that people weren't able to link 2 and 2 together when the whole idea of serial killing wasn't even developed.
Yeah. No,
but
for sure. One of the only other things that I wanted to say is that I didn't even know this before, but you know how Joker, like in Batman, has the scars, like the smiling scars? That's actually a thing. Like, it's called the Glasgow smile. And so it's a thing that I don't know why
it was done, like the first time it was done in Glasgow.
To be completely honest, I'm not sure.
It is very morbid to, like, all you have to do is slightly cut the sides of your mouth, and then, because you're screaming, or if you're screaming, it just stretches out.
Yeah. But then, it originated in Glasgow in the 20s and 30s, but she had that as well.
Oh my
So,
God.
like, she was, like, posed in a shocked position with, like, the big smile. And, like, completely separated body. That was, like, pale white and everything, too. And so, anyways.
Cleveland's in Ohio, right?
Cleveland, yeah.
What's right next to Ohio?
Ohio. On one
Seattle?
side, it's Indiana, and then on the other side, it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh, so it's all the way to the east side.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay,
Ohio is technically Midwest, but, like, kind of...
I'm just imagining, like... I know this happened in LA, right? But if this happened in, like, a town in Pennsylvania right next to Cleveland...
Yeah.
And then this happened, and then the Cleveland torso murders happened... Yeah. Like, a bunch of those detectives like, I don't know what I'm seeing. Yeah?
It was a bit of a doozy.
There's no way these could be connected.
Yeah. But, like, even... What makes it even grimmer is, like, the fact that it's, like, in, like, noir era, like, LA, and all of the photos are, like black and white, you know? And it's just...
Wait, who's that? Who's that?
This is her, because she got arrested when she was a teen for, like, underage drinking and stuff. And but it's just everything looks, like, grim
in terms of her being this victim. It was kind of random, right? It wasn't okay,
which is why, like, they truly have, like, no clue who did it. The last time she was spotted was at this really, really fancy hotel called the Biltmore Hotel in LA, and then she went missing for a week, and then they found her like that, and then they could tell that she had been dead for 10 hours before
which makes sense. She's drained.
Yeah, exactly. But
what is this tied to, like, the whole conspiracy behind Illuminati and Hollywood?
No, definitely not.
They sacrificed a young aspiring actress for the sake of their industry.
Maybe.
Yo,
that has not been said anywhere, but you can start theorizing on that.
That'll be wild.
And then what else was I gonna say? I completely forgot what I was gonna say. But if I remember it, then I'll let you know. But anyways, that's mine that I found for this week.
Okay, the ones that I've picked were essentially 2 separate Netflix documentaries that I've partially watched. Haven't finished either of them. The first one was Night Stalker. Okay, the thing I was gonna say was, why are all these murders happening in LA?
Yeah.
It's like this stirring pot of death. But
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like the whole
It's always in L.A.
the Manson family murders.
Yeah,
Do you remember
that was in
LA?
LA.
Yeah.
Oh, great movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Love
that is really really good.
But it's so weird. It's either I just realized I said stirring pot, I meant melting pot. But maybe it's because it's happening around the country, but it's only publicized.
Yeah.
They're only publicizing the ones in LA.
Yeah, we should do a bit of research into that. That's kind of interesting. I bet it's like because LA is totally like a melting pot of all these like people trying to make new lives for themselves. So
And
there's
it's
a lot of
happening.
people.
It's
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
there.
It's popping.
Poppin'.
But that's probably one thing. And then anything in LA is just like makes a lot of media attention. And I feel like if there's another LA murder that like just only adds to the whole thing, the sensationalism.
It's like if someone died in Rhode Island, like no one's gonna read about it. No one really cares.
Yeah.
The Rhode Island murderers.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Or some town in like Maine or something.
Yeah. Because there's actually, I was about to say there's an expectation that like LA's more developed and it's more safe, but I don't think it's actually held on to that reputation at all. I don't think it's ever built a reputation of being safe. Especially with all these stories that we're talking about and like immense amount of poverty and homelessness in the whole like county itself. But the two murder mysteries, the first one's less so a mystery because it was solved as to who was the Night Stalker. So essentially it was this guy going around California, around LA, I think, killing women, children, just like everything. He was like killing, he was raping, he was doing all this kind of stuff, but no one found out who he was. He's like had over 15 victims, and the craziest thing was, I don't know if that's the craziest thing, but the craziest thing to me was when I was watching the documentary about the Cecil Hotel. He was one of the tenants. He would just, so essentially Cecil Hotel, which is kind of tied to the second murder mystery that I wanted to talk about, which was the disappearance of Eliza Lamb. We'll get to that briefly, but essentially the Cecil Hotel is this super rundown hotel that is kind of like outlawed, and there's really nothing protecting people from like murder or anything within the hotel, which is kind of messed up. But it's this establishment within Skid Row, LA, which is a very dangerous, a very poverty-ridden area within LA, and essentially all the top floors are occupied by like murderers, killers, rapists, just like the most dangerous, the most disgusting, evil people who are granted asylum, or they granted themselves asylum to a certain extent.
Well, it was like when they were still doing their stuff and like weren't caught. It's not like they like rolled up to the hotel.
No, but like I remember watching the show.
Yeah.
And then like someone would be like, "Yeah, they'll be happening, and no one's gonna do anything about it." I'm like, God damn. One thing about the show, because essentially it's a docu-series about the Cecil Hotel and Cecil Hotel, because I don't want to explain it. There was this guy who had this accent. I'm not making fun of him. He was kind of vetted out as one of the potential murder suspects of Eliza Lamb. But essentially, like, the hotel manager was hella shady. I don't know. Did you feel that?
I haven't watched the documentary.
Oh, at all?
No. I've read a lot about this thing like years ago before the whole Netflix thing.
She was like talking about how she didn't suspect anything going on in the hotel. I'm like, are you serious? She's either super ignorant or, covering something up.
Right.
But I'm not going to delve into conspiracies. It's more of an explanation of these murder mysteries. But yeah, essentially this guy would come back from his nightly escapades, apparently covered in blood, and go into his room in the Cecil Hotel, and then no one would say anything. No one would bat an eye. And that shit is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living in LA in that time. I can't even imagine living in LA now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think another thing is probably that, like, it would be harder for something like this to happen in, like, New York or Boston, where it's, like, a proper city and, like, people can hear things, and, like, it's just harder to get away with, like, a huge murder spree in, like, a big city.
Yeah.
But LA is, like, it's not really a city. There's, like, a small downtown area, but it's, like,
spread out.
It's so spread out. And so like there's still like a ton of driving or like abandoned spots or like things like that. So that's probably like
which is
what
quite
goes
wild.
into it too. Yeah.
I guess the juicy mystery that we should be talking about, because we kind of both know about it, is the disappearance of Eliza Lamb.
Okay.
I don't know why I sang it.
Yeah.
It's not very happy. But essentially, this kind of ties down to that docuseries I was talking about, the Cecil Hotel, because she was a tenant of the Cecil Hotel when she disappeared and died.
Yeah.
So, Cody, because you've read up about it and you knew about it, I've known about it, but never really read up until like after I started watching the series. So why don't you give us your little interpretation of what happened at the Cecil Hotel?
So we talked about it for like a solid like 7 minutes or so.
Did we?
In the spicy episode? Yeah. I think your memory just wiped.
Yeah, it was burned away.
Which is episode 31. So that was 2 episodes ago, I guess. So just to refresh, it was Hong Kong immigrant family to Canada, I think, and then their daughter was studying at UBC, but she took a trip to LA, stayed at this super shady hotel, probably just because it was cheap too, but essentially disappeared. Was later found a few days later in the septic tank, like on the not the septic tank, the water tank on the roof. Dead, obviously. And then the eerie thing is that they released elevator like CCTV footage a few days later, and she's just acting like super strange in it. Like looks like she's hiding from someone at one point. She's doing like weird finger and hand and like arm motions, and then she like presses all of the hotel buttons, but the hotel doors don't close. Like they don't close throughout this whole thing, and it's not because she's stopping them from closing this whole time. So that was one thing, and then the timestamps
she was like hiding in the elevator and everything.
It's just very unsettling and creepy to watch. And then there are also like obscured timestamps too, so people are speculating that the footage was played backwards or that like it was altered and stuff too. So that's something. But it's just a very eerie case, and it hasn't been solved. And then one of the scarier things too is that she has like a blog too. Did you hear about this? So she has like a blog on Tumblr, and since her death, the blog has been updated. Like
What?
people like it's like posting a few times since her death, which is crazy. That gives me goosebumps when I think about it. But people are saying that you can also schedule posts on Tumblr, which is like a lot of like we do that with our podcast sometimes, like queue a post.
But they can. She's been like it's. You said it's posting recently, right?
Not recent, but like since her death, her Tumblr blog was updated presumably through Tumblr's queue option. So I don't think it's been like every day or something, but people either say that someone stole her phone or that she just queued things to go. I think it's been like a few times or something, but that's just crazy.
Okay. But in the discovery of her body, though, because essentially, as Cody said, she was found in one of the water tanks on the top floor on the roof. I'm still not sure whether or not the hatch was closed or like still open when they discovered her body, but I think it might be closed. I didn't really read too much or remember about it. But the funniest thing was like I was watching this documentary, and they interviewed like a lot of people who were involved, including like conspiracy theorists and the autopsy guy, the coroner, LAPD. I just love when people, like they dragged out the series a little too long.
Yeah.
When people are talking about nothing, they were like, the coroner was like, if her body was found dead, then she would have been killed. I'm like, what?
Right.
If she wasn't in her room, she might be somewhere else. I'm like, bro, chill. Like, nothing you're saying is adding to it at all. But also, additionally, there's like so many weird characters within the show because essentially she was in the water tank for how many ever days, like quite a few days, and that's contaminated the water. And then people have been complaining within the hotel that the water's become like this murky brown or this like black color. And this European couple who got interviewed, like leaving the hotel after like finding the body, was like, yeah, we were like bathing, we were drinking the water, we were like washing our faces with the water. I'm like, first of all, if you see water that's brown, why are you even using it to begin with? And second of all, why are you so outwardly proud about it? There's so many memes now where it's like a guy just drinking a cup of water and it's like, oh, me in the Cecil Hotel back in 2013 or whatever. But it's the weirdest and the wildest thing. Like, people within the hotel were consuming parts of her, essentially.
Yeah, that's gross. What's your overall theory for it?
I mean, they try to tie it with like certain people, certain tenants within the hotel. Like there was a guy who lived in the Cecil Hotel who was this like intense death metal artist who would have like really gory makeup, talk about like singing about killing people, and then one of his songs insinuated that he killed an Asian person by drowning. And he was staying at the Cecil Hotel, so then everyone was like, oh dude, this guy killed her, this guy killed her. But then obviously Netflix interviewed him and he was like, I wasn't even at the hotel during the time. But I'm like, dude, just stop singing about stuff like this if you don't want to get caught up in shit like this. But I don't know, music is art is music, whatever. But my theory is because they found out she had bipolar, she was bipolar, I feel like she might have had a psychotic episode, which does explain her erratic behavior within the footage, and maybe she was on some kind of substances as well, which would add to it. And I'm not surprised if she did it herself. But I'm not saying that I rule out any sort of manipulation by people when she's under this episode. I feel like maybe people might have manipulated her in some way without like a necessary intention, but I don't know. I don't think it's premeditated by anyone else.
Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty much there with you. Like, I think it's just suicide because she had bipolar disorder and depression too. And like, also, I think this is a very common thing with like very traditional Asian families, but mental health is not super talked about. And so her family had kind of like covered up her mental health history and things like that, like to keep it a secret.
Hush.
And so I think like everything is shocking because people are like, oh no way she could have done that, because we knew Eliza and she was always like so happy and so cheerful and so smart and stuff. But like obviously that's only like one side of her, right? They're like legitimate struggles that have not been shown. And so like that's one thing. And then they also said that she had she had no like suicidal history, at least as they could tell, but she did go like missing for a brief period, like when she was a teenager before. And so that's probably like,
I think it's weird because I'm sure this has lasted so long because people idealize and romanticize the idea that there's like this mysterious force of nature or there's like prowling killer when they're kind of avoiding the more obvious thing, which is, as you said, this mental health issue that might be a cause of her death. I mean, I'm not saying that anything is set in stone. I'm not saying that like I'm 100% sure of this, but I could be pretty confident that that's how it happened. That it's not this horror movie that everyone expects it to be.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so weird that people, like romanticize this idea.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I thought was kind of nice when I was like researching about it is, I didn't even know this, but there's this band called the Zolas. Zolas. And then they had this one album called Ancient Mars, and there's a song called Ancient Mars on it. And I've listened to this song before too, but it was made in 2014, and essentially their music video is like meant to be a fictionalized like interpretation of Eliza's last day in LA, and it's just like very like nice and happy, and it's like her like going to a flower shop or like going to a cafe and like sitting at the park and stuff. And essentially like the people in the band were interviewed, and they said like they didn't like how everyone was just talking about like suicidal ideations or like all these like mental health things or like her disappearance and like her being on drugs or mental illness and stuff. And so they just wanted to like make it seem like she was like a real girl like traveling to LA like for vacation and like having like a nice like last day and everything too, which I thought was like a very like
she's a person, nice, not a story.
Not like some. And it's like with one of these things, like people are hoping that something sinister happened too, which is just a bit grim. I see why people want it because it makes a better story than just like mental health issues and stuff. But like it's also a bit grim when you take a step back and realize that like people are wanting some sinister presence to be in the hotel or like some big
even
cover-up
when
or
all
something.
the evidence is against that, there's like no foul play. It's almost practically impossible for someone to carry her body up and down or into this whatever water tank. People are still like, no, but what if? But what if? What if there was this like evil presence? What if the hotel's haunted? But they won't be satisfied with the fact that it's so simple and it's so human and it's so real.
For sure.
And it's
Anyways,
it's crazy, man.
I feel like that's a good end to it.
Yeah.
Let us know if you liked this stuff, and we can do more murder mystery or like unsolved mystery things.
And we could do more research.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of going with the flow.
Before this, I was like, so how should we do this? Because we only have a few minutes to prep, and I've researched a bit of a case, but we also know about the Eliza Lamb, and Ian's just like, let's just go with it, man. And I'm like, what does that mean? You said nothing.
1, 2, 3, go.
But yeah, let us know if you liked this, because it is kind of fun. We could do like a mini series on this.
Noise. Well, we'll end it right there. Thank you for listening to another episode. Follow us on Instagram at PitcherPod. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. We're going to be giving shout outs to everyone who rates and reviews us on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and check us out on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll grab a picture with you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.